Big Spurs moves on the horizon. After a long but fun 2026 season for the San Antonio Spurs, they now have to reflect and they have to move forward. And a recent article links 3 at potential pieces for the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to discuss the likelihood of those happening, and we're going to discuss what these pieces would mean to the San Antonio Spurs here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. And guys, before we get into this right here, I do want to say one thing real quick. Thank you to everybody who was there for the Spurs Digest run. This Spurs Digest playoff run, it was fun. Everybody was there. They were happy. They were commenting. And I just wanted to say from me personally, it was fun to be able to experience this playoff run with you guys. And I'm hopeful to do this for many more years. And you guys are here for many more years. So thank you very much. And before we really dive in to these trade targets for the San Antonio Spurs, I do have a quick question. And it's, have you been feeling a little bit more tired, a little bit more sluggish lately? Workouts may not be hitting the same. Men naturally lose testosterone starting around the age of 30. I know I'm unfortunately there, but I've been starting to feel that myself. But this is where Mars Men comes in, designed to help use up usable testosterone naturally. Made with 8 clinically dosed ingredients. You got zinc, boron, vitamin D, and more. Helps with energy, focus, strength, stamina, recovery. And I notice this for myself when I'm playing basketball. I get more stamina. I'm able to use my strength more. I build strength more. And the recovery process is not as grueling. And I do feel better in a shorter period of time. It's a third-party tested and backed by a 90-day money-back guarantee. For a limited time, our listeners can get 50% off for Life Plus, free shipping, and free gifts at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts when you check out. After your purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that our show sent you. And guys, appreciate that very much so. But let's get back into this article here. The Spurs, 25-26, springboard into title contention. We obviously saw it. They went from a team that was projected around 44 wins this year. They got to 62. They got to the NBA Finals after having to go to OKC in a Game 7 and beat them there. The young core has gained experience from them being inexperienced already. At times, though, we got to see the youth and inexperience show its head. We got to see what the Spurs' flaws were. This team's not a perfectly constructed team. It's just a team with a lot of potential and a lot of star power, and that alone got them to the NBA Finals and had them play a tough but grueling series against the New York Knicks where we gave up a few games, and where the Knicks, they deserved it, they earned it. But we have some lessons to learn, and from those lessons to learn, we also have some realizations that we've figured out with this roster. And so with this article here, the front office might not feel as if they need to make a splash, but I know from reading all of the comments that you guys have been able graciously to put there, that you guys are kind of in the mindset of we might need a splash, because you don't trade someone like a De'Aaron Fox without it being a little bit of a splash. That's still a very good player regardless of how we feel about him now. So let's dive into a couple of these players that are here. One of the trade targets, Jaylen Brown. Why would Jaylen Brown be one of the people that they assume, or one of the people they think that would be good? We might have too many good to great guards for them to handle. Center, obviously, we got Wemby, cheat code, but if they swing a blockbuster trade, certainly attack the forward spots, because that's where we would lack the most. Obviously, we have Julian Champagne, and we have Keldon Johnson. We kind of have Devin Vassell. Depends if you want to count him more as a 2 or a 3, but he played a lot of 3 for us this year, so you can count him even in there. Carter Bryant, what he can develop into, Harrison Barnes, but not all of these players are going to be on roster by the start of next season, depending on the contracts for things to go. And Jaylen Brown, second team All-NBA guy this year. He was amazing for the Boston Celtics. He was averaging 28, close to 29, 7 and 5 this year. Great true shooting at 57%. Shot well from the free throw line. Shot decent from the free throw line. Good from the 3-point line. Good from the floor. Also a good defender. So Why would Jaylen Brown be somebody that the San Antonio Spurs would want? Well, he would add a lot of tenaciousness defensively. He would add a lot of offensive firepower scoring. He would be able to get you shots late in the shot clock, late in the game, and he is not afraid to take and make some big shots. He's already been a finals MVP. He's already been to the finals clearly. So in those aspects, Jaylen Brown would help this team. I don't like this at all. I personally don't like this at all. And the reason why I don't like it is the financial burden that this would add to the team, having to pay him near $60 million a year for that. And when I feel this team can develop and they don't need a huge splash. They need to get that Andre Iguodala for the Warriors kind of splash. When that team had the core there and everyone was there, and then they add an Iggy. And that's where, okay, that's the guy who's going to do the little things. That's the guy who's going to come in here. He can score when necessary. He's going to take and make big shots if necessary. But he's going to be there, the facilitator, play the defense, and fit into the specific role that the San Antonio Spurs, or that the Golden State Warriors need. And that is what the Spurs need. But they need it more at the 4. Which is why this next guy here in Aaron Gordon is somebody who I would love, and I mean love, to get. Aaron Gordon would be a phenomenal addition to this team. After winning it all in 2023, the Nuggets have suffered consecutive second-round exits where they were knocked out of the opening round. This isn't the direction that they're going to want to go in. And obviously the team president said, I think everything's going to be on the table outside of trading Nikola. So obviously Jokic is not going to be someone they're going to look to move on from. But Aaron Gordon could be a guy that they look to move on from, especially when they look at the financials that they've had to deal with. This year, he started off playing such great basketball. He had that huge game against the Warriors to start. I think it was like 10 threes or something along those lines that he had. He just went nuts in that game. And he was playing really well, 16 and 6 with 3 assists. The true shooting was there. The three-point shot for him, he has developed that over the years and now has become a pretty lethal knockdown open three-point shooter, shooting 50%. But for him, it was just the injury. And with those injuries during the regular season, the Nuggets could basically hold serve. Obviously, they were still good. Jokic missed a little bit of time. Murray did as well. But they're able to hold serve, clearly get to the playoffs there. But they are just in a situation now where it makes it a little bit more difficult for them to move forward if Aaron Gordon's not healthy, and they need people to be healthy throughout the year so they can get the position that they need. For us, on the other hand, we don't need Aaron Gordon really for the regular season. There's the 82 games, then there's the 16 game. We don't really need him for that. We obviously need him to be in peak form, but we wouldn't need him for that. We can get through it without it because we have such good talent. Dylan Harper's going to progress. Stephon Castle is going to progress. Wemby, Carter Bryant, everybody else that we have on the roster, depending who is there, Julian Champagnie, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and others. Like, we have so much on this roster. But Aaron Gordon being able to give us that versatile 4 to 5 in the playoffs. If we want to go small, we could put him at the 5 when Wemby's getting a rest. We can put him at the 4, and then we have 5 people who can space the floor very well. Plus, he's also a guy who can play defensively. So now you can say, oh, hey, you can go guard the best big on the other team for the most part, and then Wemby can really roam. And then we're not going to feel like we're giving up any advantages. I think Aaron Gordon would fit this team tremendously. He is the guy that I believe the Spurs should key in on, and this is a Spurs-type move too. You get that veteran who has been there, done that, but also can help really propel you to that next level. And I think Aaron Gordon would be tremendous there. And then at 1, it's always the guy that we talk about, another guy that is just great. His name's Trey Murphy. And we know how good Trey Murphy is. He fits the timeline. He is 25. He is ready to come in and play. He can create. He can play defense. He can shoot the ball. For some reason, they didn't want to load up his picture here for some reason. They were like, he's too fire. Can't load the picture, but the stats are accurate for what he did this year. 21.5, 5.7, 4 assists a game, 61% true shooting. And he can be in a situation to where, oh, wow, we can really emphasize how athletic we could be and how fast we can get out. With this and with Trey Murphy here, the San Antonio Spurs would really make things difficult for everybody because they would be able to just get out in transition, quickly run, quickly move, and the athleticism that they would possess, he would just completely enhance that too as well. Plus, he's got size. So Trey Murphy is always going to be the guy that's in the talks of, can we get that guy? That's for a lot of people. But for me personally, Aaron Gordon is the guy I'm keying in on because I don't think you're going to have to give up a lot to get him. Out of all three of these people, I think Aaron Gordon would be the least amount of assets you have to give up for him, just because of the youth of Trae Young, obviously what we know what Jaylen Brown is at this point in time, and then the age of Aaron Gordon, the fact that he's becoming a little bit less and less healthy, and I know that's a little bit of a danger, but if you can get through the regular season, pace him, and then really get him for the playoffs, that's all we're asking him for. So Aaron Gordon is the guy to key in on, but I think Trey Murphy would be very good, and I'm out on Jaylen Brown. I think that's just too much. That's too much financial. That's too much. I just don't think the Spurs would do that anyway. But let me know in the comments what you think about the trades, what you guys think about what possibly could happen for the San Antonio Spurs. This has been Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. Appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be seeing you guys again very soon.